Welcome back to BSG Automotive. Today we're going to show you how to properly change oil and filter in the Ford 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. Now the capacities and the oil spec and even the oil filter itself has stayed the same throughout the years except for the very early ones. I would say mid-year, early 2009 Ford Escapes and maybe other models where they use the cartridge based filter instead of the usual spin-on filter we're all used to. After that, they all use this FL910S, every one of them, to this day. And I'm talking to the 2017 model year. So today we're going to show you from start to finish in detail so you guys know exactly what you're getting yourself into, so you have all the tools, parts, and supplies on hand to get the job done. Alright, now before we start tearing apart the engine and draining oil out, let's make sure we have everything on hand. What this engine takes is 5 quarts of 5W20. So take your favorite oil, make sure you have it, 5 quarts. Make sure you got a funnel here so you can fill it back up without spillage. Make sure you have a FL910S or that cartridge style filter, which I'll link down below in the description also. If you have that style, it's the very early style on the 09s. Besides that, I'll use a spin-on like this, like I mentioned earlier. We got to have a place to put that oil after we put it into the drain pan. So we got 2 jugs here, so we can cap it off and put it into there and take it to our favorite recycler place. They all are supposed to take them by law, I believe, in just about every state. So all I got to do is find a place that takes it, and you can go ahead and turn these in as long as they're nice and clean. Also, something like this is a good idea to have on hand, an old coffee can, something like that. And you can put all your old oily rags into here, your shop towel rags, and of course your old filter, so they can take that and recycle that also. Speaking of rags, I got these rags right here. It's the shop rags from Scott's. And the reason why I use these instead of regular cloth ones, because they're going to get soaked in oil. So you don't want to put that kind of stuff through your wash machine or anything like that. So you just use these disposable ones for that kind of stuff. And you can use the regular shop towels for dirty hands and all that stuff, but not for oil soaking like this. So make sure you have everything on hand and we can get right to it. Alright, once the hood's up, we're going to come over here to the engine and we're going to take out the dipstick and the oil fill cap. And we're going to do it a certain way. We're going to pull up on it. We're going to wrap it with a rag like this to get all the residual oil off of here. Clean it off of there. And I like to keep it right here on top of the radiator, and that way we can't forget it going back in. Same thing with the cap. Take it off. Clean it up with your rag, okay? And inspect the seal on here, and the same thing. I keep it right here, so as soon as I'm done with filling the oil, I can take the cap and put it right back on. You don't want to have this cap off in this particular engine. A lot of oil comes squirting out of here, and it'll get all over the exhaust manifold back here where it can start a fire, or it can flood this valley right here and cause misfires. So this is the drain back stage right now. We got the cap off, we got the dipstick out. We're going to wait about 3 to 5 minutes and let the oil drain back through the heads, through the block, and into the oil pan. Meanwhile, look over the rest of it. Check your coolant levels, fill your washer fluid, get all that stuff done in the meantime, and also just look around for leaks in general, oil leaks. There shouldn't be a sweet smell. If you smell a sweet smell, then there's a coolant leak, so you got to find that. It's all be very evident once you get the hood open and we're looking around in here. So it's a good time to check everything, including the air filter over there also. Now this is the kind of funnel I like to use. I don't know where I got it exactly. This one fits perfectly, and all the oil fill spouts on there. Just put it right there, kind of wedges itself in there, and you just fill it on there, and it has the extra high back on there for spillage so it doesn't spill out. Alright, down below here you'll see the oil filter right away. You can see it right there, and this is the oil pan right here, and just behind it, right in the center, is a 13 millimeter drain plug on there, so you're going to need a 13 millimeter wrench. Now the newer ones are 15 millimeters, so you just got to see which size is yours. First thing you want to do is drain this filter. The reason being is you're going to spin this off later and it's going to plop down to that pan of oil. It's full from the pan. Your drain pan's going to be full of oil and it's going to splash everywhere. So this system right here is totally separate of the oil pan sump there. So let's just take this off of here right now and get this loose on here. That's the other thing that's nice about these filters from Motorcraft is the can structure is so strong that they actually, if they're really on here really tight, and you go to clamp them down like this with a oil filter wrench, they're not going to just cave in and cause all kinds of problems. So that's nice also. So you just get the pan underneath it. Once you have it loose, you bring it in closer. See if we can get light up in there. There we go. Just spin it off a little bit like that, and then get your hand out of the way because it's going to start pouring out oil. Now these 910s take a little bit more turns than the other Ford filters. It'll start coming down. And you got to remember this oil is going to be really hot, even if that filter doesn't feel too hot. So let it drain off for a little bit if you can. Otherwise, get up in there and pull it off of there. And you can see it slowed down now. Now we're ready to go ahead and take it off of there. Now it's a good idea is use a rag, kind of give yourself a little bit of insulation, and then you just pull it off of there. Just flip it over when you're done. And let the oil filter adapter right here just drip off for a little bit, and then we can start putting a new filter on there. Alright, once it's done dripping out, most of it, come over with a clean rag. We're going to clean the sealing surface on here, and then we're going to put our new 910 on here. And just tighten it by hand. That's all you need. Don't put a wrench on it, it's going to have a potential to have a leak, and it's going to be a real pain coming off the next time. Something like that, and then take that rag that you have in your hand, and you could shine it up all the way up here to the base plate, and that'll make sure there's no oil leaking down the sides. So when we start it and check it, we know if there's a new leak or not. Alright, now that the filter's all done, secured, and cleaned up, let's get this oil pan draining out. And once we do pull a drain plug off of here, it's a good idea to let it drain off for about 5 minutes. So I can feel the pan, it's nice and warm, so it should have good flow. At first, you can get the pan out of the way and just come over here and break torque on this. It's going to be a little bit of a pain. So you might have to do something like this to break torque on it. Okay? And then after that, it should basically spin out of here. Especially in these cast aluminum pans, they are a lot more forgiving under any kind of heat load. I know my hand's in the way here, but basically it's unscrewing this and getting it out of the way. And we're going to let this thing flow full blast. Something like that. Now once it comes out and you can see how far it's shooting out of there, bring the pan back like this a little bit, okay? Because in the end, it's going to come straight down. So you don't have to be dripping on the ground when it's fully done draining and it's dripping out all over the place. So like I said, just let it drain for about 5 minutes or so, and we'll have a good drain on here then, especially being this warm. Alright, now once it's like this, where it's just dripping every once in a while, we're good to go. We can put the plug back in. It's drained out enough on there. What I like to do is put it in there a little bit, and then clean the surface here where it's going to seal up, in case there's a bunch of dirt or something like that there. And then we'll spin it down the rest of the way by hand here. Get it sealed up. Pan out of the way here. And then as far as these go, the torque spec on these is pretty low. It's around 20 something. But as long as you snug it up and just give it a little bit more like that, okay, just like that, you're good. I mean, it's going to hold. There's a rubber seal on there, and you're torquing it down enough where it's not going to back out and have any problems. Clean it up a little bit. Make sure your oil filter's still clean, no more drips. We can go up topside and start filling it up. Alright, back up top here, like I mentioned earlier, this takes 5 quarts of 520 exactly. The problem with the dipsticks on these and the way they're set up going through the valve cover here, the readings can be kind of erratic. So as long as you put 5 quarts in there, we have no leaks. Don't worry about the level reading on there. Just make sure you get those 5 full quarts in there. And I use Penzoil mainly because they've come back in the last couple of years and really cleaned up their act, I guess you could say, with their oil grades and including all these active cleansing agents in their oils now, so they don't have that sludging problem they used to have back in the day. So I use Penzoil nowadays. We're just going to pour it into here one by one. Make sure you get it all out of there, something like that. And we'll put it back over here. I'm not sure I mentioned it or not, but the easiest and most foolproof way to pour these, especially these ones that have the small caps, the mobile ones, they have big old necks on here and holes, is to pour it on the side like this. You get the least amount of gurgling like that, and therefore less chance for splashing on there. Now this is one of the easiest and cleanest parts of the job. You can see I have no, protection of my hands, anything like that. This should be the final, very end part here, and it should be just this easy. Alright, now once your last quart's poured down in there, give it a little shake, and we'll clean this up right away. See, my working hand is my left hand here, so I keep the gloves on that hand. And clean the funnel up real quick, clean around it, any little drips you might have done. And the first thing you want to do is get that cap back on. Don't want to start this thing accidentally with that cap off of there. Alright, all the oil's back in there, everything down below is tightened, filters are back on, everything's changed out. So we're going to get everything off of the engine here, anything left on there, wrenches, rags, buckets, anything. Get everything off. Keep your dipstick out. Keep it off to the side like this, where it can't fall down to the belt area, and we're going to go ahead and start the engine. Now, one other quick note, because of the design of this engine, it's why I do these individual oil changes. Each car is different. Because this goes through, this oil dipstick hole goes right through here, well, all the oil and pressure splashing around there will come spitting out all over the place on here on this particular engine. So if you're going to start with that off of there, which you should, do something like that, put a rag on top of it so it can't blow out everywhere. Now once you start it, and that initial noise goes away, which you probably heard, that rattling type noise, that's everything pumping back up and not having oil pressure for that first second or two. Once that's gone, wait another 5 to 15 seconds, let it run, everything pressurized, fill, and then we can come back over here and check it. Now technically, according to the manual, you're supposed to wait 5 to 8 minutes before you start checking this, but we're going to check it right now. As long as you don't come right over here and expect a perfect oil level reading, and you wait about 30 seconds to a minute, you'll be just fine. And there it is. You can see it's right in the middle there. What you want it to be after we go check is anywhere in the hash marks. Some dipsticks, right here where the hash marks are at, above and below it, there'll be holes in the dipstick. Those are the do not drive holes. And they have the same holes in them for the transmission on these vehicles. So that's one thing to note. This one does not have them, but you can see anywhere in the hash marks, after you check it like that, you're good to go. Make sure you get it right back in there. And this one, like I said, it's an early build 09. There's a little notch right here that fits perfectly right here in the valve cover. So you gotta make sure it's fully in there and seated all the way down to the O-ring. And that way there's no oil pumping out of here when we're driving. Alright, one last thing we got to do here is reset the oil life monitor in the cluster here. So we're going to turn the key to the on position. Okay. And you can see it says engine oil change soon. Right down here, is all your buttons for info, setup, and reset on there. So we're gonna hit the setup button. Clear, right? There it is. You're gonna hold the reset button until it says 100%. Let go, and at that point you can hit info and go back to your regular display on there. Now the other thing you can do is hit setup again and again, and you can see the oil life took on there. So we definitely reset it, and that's the last thing you got to do on here, and it'll be good for another 3,000 to 5,000 miles depending on the oil you put in here.